Phil. I sent you the link on Telegram.
Yes. So
Let's also try to see if everything is working.
yeah. Why I cannot see the post this button?
It's like, it's super weird. It's in like top right
Oh
corner.
yeah. Okay, I need to. Never mind. Okay. Why I cannot see the post
I can
this
hear you in the streams. How about myself? Oh, nice. Like
yeah.
both working. Man, this is second stream in a row where everything is working, and I'm getting a bit concerned.
Nice. Okay, hi everyone. So I think you can hear us. It's all good. Hello. Welcome to the next stream. Let me just open the YouTube as well. Okay,
Yes.
so I have here. Okay, I have both of these here. So, hi guys, welcome to the next episode. The streams are sponsored by BONKbot, as always. Thank you, BONKbot, for sponsoring us. They have recently launched their telemetry trading app, so you can go check it out. There is no longer a whitelist. Obviously, you still can use our link, on which we are going to get some kickback, and you'll show the love and the support for the stream. But it's finally live. Obviously, for those of you interested in going into the trenches, there are a bunch of different things that you can do there. It's quite advanced. There's a bunch of features that I believe that you are not going to be able to find on any other of these terminals. So make sure to go ahead and explore these different functions. With that being said, we are going to just jump into the state of things. It's not that much going on. Although, I actually over the weekend got long BTC. I posted about it on Twitter. I occasionally do open myself to get hate from people and share the trades that I take. But I felt like, basically, I don't remember when we streamed last week. I think it was also Tuesday. Yeah, I believe it was like Monday or Tuesday. We had quite a big of an impulse coming towards the basically end of the last week. Wednesday to Friday market really rallied, kind of made the new highs, and I feel like it's just kind of hanging around underneath the all-time highs. Looking at a lot of the different things, I think it's very tricky now. We have obviously the S&P is at the all-time highs as well, or above the all-time highs. Indices are actually above the all-time highs, not at the all-time highs, which is always a little bit of a tricky thing. But Bitcoin, I think a lot of the stuff that I was looking at, and the price is a little bit higher. I think I got long around 107.8 or something like that. So we are like $1,000 shy above it at the moment. But yeah, I think BTC overall, and this is through a Bitcoin Maxi stream at this point. We kind of keep repeating
Yay!
ourselves. It must be pretty annoying at this point, but I think Bitcoin is looking really good. We are sitting at the about just slightly below the all-time highs. Funding is more or less at the baseline. The 3-month annualized basis on the quarterly futures is sitting at like 5%, which gives you this kind of a um, idea of how much people are kind of jumping in. For those of you that are not really watching this, you can check it out on Velo, in the futures tab. Runner might open it here on the stream as well. But just for the reference, when we made the highs on the towards basically the beginning of the year, around that inauguration day as well, the basis was basically between around like 15%. So now sitting at 5%, which I do believe these are like almost the lows. Obviously, we had a kind of negative basis during the FTX situation, but 5% basis overall is very, very low for the quarterly futures, especially considering that we are basically underneath the all-time highs. If you look at the price chart itself, it's just like these very flat highs basically as well. You usually see, if you look at on the left on the chart from January, when there was this inauguration day and we had a decent sell-off from there, we at least ended up with like this like bigger wick above the highs and that kind of a liquidation event. Now these highs on Bitcoin are, I feel like, pretty flat. And there's none of this like blow off, top situation basically at all. So I do believe that that also kind of leaves the open door for that. One last thing we can kind of talk about a little bit on why I was personally bullish. I think in my post I also share this kind of a order book depth. There's no need to go there. If you are interested, you can check it out on my profile. Basically, the reason why we were basically doing nothing, or not the reason why, that sounds like it's not just one reason, but we were basically going sideways for the last 2 months, and especially we were going sideways after we had this rally in June. So for the last month or so, we were really stuck in this like a 108, let's say, kind of range. There was a lot of these spot sellers basically sitting above the price in this range, which naturally, obviously, like you can, people say that you can spoof and you can put these into the book and then just pull them out if you want, but you still need to have that amount of coins in your account, right? Like you still need to have a notional in your account. And since this is a spot account, these are the spot positions. It's not, and we are talking basically about like hundreds of Bitcoin. It's not that easy for everyone to do it. Like obviously you can kind of fuck around in altcoins and then just do a bunch of damage there. But when you are looking at these things in BTC, it's not really that easy to just like hammer all of the size into the book and keep it at that. So yeah, that got actually pulled finally towards the end of the last week, basically when we rallied, Wednesday to Friday. We kind of hit this wall. Market slowed down a little bit, but since it wasn't really re-added, all of these all of these asks are basically not there anymore. So that kind of, you can just think about it that like you have a free way to go now. Very similar situation basically happened in just before Trump became president. We had a very similar thing around 68K. I remember it from the last year, where also we had just a bunch of asks sitting there, and then just week before the election, market smashed through that, and they didn't get kind of repopulated again, and obviously the market was fueled by the Trump winning, but the reason why it went so much so quickly, in my opinion, was because there was not really a resistance in terms of the spot sellers there as well. So that's kind of it. Like also, yeah, there's some pretty interesting options positioning. You can find it on Velo as well. Something that I tend to look at if you go to on
Yeah, I'm
Velo
opening it.
options tab on Velo. You're gonna scroll down to the BTC 25 delta skew without going into too much of a in-depth kind of a explanations of what it is. This is basically a kind of a supply and demand for the 25 delta calls and puts, based on the implied volatility. In, like I said, in the simplest case, when this is high, there is a much higher demand for the puts, so people are looking to hedge and so on and so forth. When this is very low, people are more interested in the calls, so betting on upside. This dropped quite a bit since like if you kind of look at it, I usually unclick everything since except the 1 month, so it's kind of a little bit cleaner. But basically, at the time of when I got in, which was like 2 days ago, this was sitting at 6.7%, which was pretty high, only higher this year basically. It was at the April bottoms when it was around 11%. So, once again, looking at price action, looking at price of BTC, we are sitting at the almost at the all-time highs, but this thing, you can actually change, I think, to like 1 year at the top, so you kind of see
Yeah, I did.
this in the more. Yeah, okay. So yeah, basically, once again, we are sitting just a few $1,000s from the all-time highs. You look at this, there is like a decent amount demand for the puts. So what gives you this kind of a sign that people are not insanely betting basically on the upside. Once again, if you look at like um, the May 20th, which is basically when we kind of topped this year, and or if you look at like this December, January tops, you will see that the ratio being at like negative 4.2%, very, very low. So yeah, this is just once again quite a little bit of oversimplification of the options market, but this has been playing pretty key role in the basically ever since options got popular, and options on Deribit now are quite popular and quite liquid. So yeah, this now dropped below zero. It's so people are piling in the calls now a little bit, but yeah, it's still not at these like -7, -6, -7 basically where we found the top previously. So from my point of view, and obviously since I'm long, I'm just talking about my bags, but no, I think I got long at basically at the end of June. I closed those longs around at the basically around 108. I was kind of feeling that for a while that these spot walls can actually lead to like a bigger correction, so I didn't want to hang around with that. I think I spoke about me closing my longs last stream. And the kind of reasoning for that, we pushed up since, got this kind of a retest over the weekend. So, and even today, just today, we actually traded back to this 107.5 range as well. So, so yeah, that's kind of my reasoning for why I'm long. Obviously, like if market starts to drop underneath, I think 105, and like we can use this thing. I think Runner has like a little bit of a bigger range drawn, but like if you would draw a range, in like since like from like May to now, we know that you have like range high, range low, that kind of like mid range. I think there is a 50-day simple moving average around 106 as well. If you draw like a volume profile, and you can do you can do basically a bunch of things and like whatever kind of you like to do and works for you, but like if you like draw a volume profile over this whole range as well, yeah, there is this like a bigger chunk of volume basically. Yeah, you have like this mid-range basically at those lows. You have the moving averages. I think if you draw a volume profile as well, you will have like a bigger point of control here, and there's like a bigger volume node type of situation. So I think, this 105 basically is like a key level. You have mid-range, you have volume profile, you have moving averages, you have basically whatever kind of, ticks your boxes. So yeah, I personally feel like that as long as this one holds, I'm just going to lean more on the bullish side. And yeah, that's pretty much kind of my point of view. So yeah, someone is asking about like if you are long and price is just sitting at support level, how you balance between support and still holding? Well, I don't know. I do it quite feel like I don't really like get out, or I'm not really I try to fuck around with the trades that I take as little as I can, especially now since I'm kind of trading on a higher time frames. Like this trade, arguably I entered on like a daily time frame chart. I think everything that I posted on Twitter was like daily time frame chart. We were basically coming into that 107 area. So I was like, I'm going to buy. 105 seems to be like a key level. So I basically barely looked at the trade for the last 2 days, right? Like I have some alerts. If we start to lose, this 105k level, I start to sweat and panic and click buttons. But other than that, I generally just don't want to really do much. And like I spoke about a lot of these indicators. I spoke about a lot of these indicators and why kind of they were bullish, which is basically what I kind of use for all of the trades that I take. So like if I see the spot order books, now not being really skewed on the sell side, or if I'm seeing this kind of option positioning, or if I'm seeing this kind of funding rates being still at the baseline negative, without the, I think funding rates by themselves are pretty useless, but like when you use it with open interest to kind of confirm all of those things that you are looking at, like that was still more of a neutral region. But if I would like see, like if price would do nothing and I would see just people piling into longs all of a sudden, and funding would start to spike up, and I would see this kind of a spot market trying to still coming into the price, and then I would be like, okay, like this is not really the long that I want to hold anymore, because I see all these people kind of rushing into the trades, and market is not really doing that much. So but yeah, right now open interest is obviously elevated. All things considered, we are at all-time highs, so almost at the all-time highs. So it's not a surprise. Obviously, you need to have like a realistic expectations when you are looking at this stuff. Like I wouldn't expect the OI here to be like very, very low, but it's not at any kind of extremes. Funding rates as well, I think looks pretty okay. Yeah, it's like 4.2% annualized. Comparing this to some of the end of the year action, we were sitting at around 20%. Funding rates and like the basis is going to be very much going with hand in hand. I spoke about these quarterly futures basis. It's obviously not the same thing, but it's going to be very similar. So a lot of these data are just kind of similar. But yeah, for now, even in May, basically the funding rate highs were around 15%. This is like annualized APR. Now we are at 4, so pretty good. Hyperliquid has a lot of these like spikes, or is that
Yeah,
Hyperliquid? Yeah, I don't
it
know.
looks completely retarded. I don't know what's happening
Yeah,
there.
I was looking at it as well the other day, but I just kind of not use the data because it's just like crazy.
Yeah, it's It's even more crazy than Deribit.
Yeah. As Europeans, what are your view on decreasing vol in quarterly BTC Euro chart? I've been
I mean,
in,
Europeans are enjoying summer. Would be my,
yeah, but
they
to
don't
be
need to
quite
fight
fair,
over U.S. politics with calling
yeah,
each other Indian on Twitter.
it's a new world reserve currency, basically, euro. But to be fair, I don't think when was the last time when I like opened BTC Euro chart. I just generally never really do that. Yeah, I don't know. I never done it
Looks like
personally.
lower high to me.
Yeah, euro, the master currency. Yeah, it looks much worse. It's
Yes,
funny.
if you're
Yeah,
bullish, never open Bitcoin Euro chart is basically my answer.
yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, I don't really look at that, to be fair. It's just like, you have most people are trading in dollars. I hold my kind of a, stable coins. I don't hold the Euro T, or what's the
Euro
tether?
C.
Euro C. Yeah. I
I
hold,
mean, you're getting fucked then, bro. Like, do you see
Yeah,
why?
I definitely do. I actually did, like get um some of the dollars the other day, and I was like, I usually like use euros as kind of the main currency for the most things. So I was actually getting fucked, the last like 5 years. But yeah, now I got some dollars, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to swap it just yet. It's like I'm just going to wait until dollar strengthens a little bit. So yeah, I personally don't really look at the BTC Euro chart. So I don't really find it. And yeah, I think the reason why, and sorry, I'm just reading the second part of the question. I just think that like the reason why it's not that like people are like showing like it's not like people are not interested in like all of these things are so tied together because like there is a like you would basically be able to just arb these things if there would be like a general kind of a differences in like people being interested or not. So and like you cannot really do that because there are much smarter people with like much better technologies to do it. So it's not like people are less interested. It's just basically euro is relatively stronger compared to the dollar, so the price is going to kind of show that as well. But this is like I wouldn't really look at like BTC or like like you can open like BTC JPY basically against the yen. It's still not at all-time high, sorry. So I had like a idea, but yeah, like if you would have like Bitcoin CAD, maybe I think like there was this time when Bitcoin against Canadian dollar basically made all-time high before the USD. I think this was like prior cycle or maybe even like last year. Yeah, like last year basically against the Canadian dollar, market just traded above the all-time highs before the dollar. This was not because people from Canada were more interested in Bitcoin. It was just difference between the relative kind of a price rate and these all of these things being basically very tightly close together because if there would be kind of all over the place, there would be a lot of opportunities to just arb these things and like yeah, this is not really something that most of us can do because people with just much better computers can do it instead. So yeah, so these are my thoughts on Bitcoin. Do you have something? What have you been doing?
Well, we had the highest weekly close ever for Bitcoin, which nobody's celebrating because everybody's shilling chill house or whatever it is. It's $7 million market cap. No, look, highest weekly close, ETFs buying, Sailor not buying. But I believe there is an argument to be said about the blackout period, which I know you don't want to discuss at all. But Sailor basically did not buy BTC. However, they did announce $4.2 billion raise for the STRK, I believe. It's one of those, extra products he has within strategy. So basically, in simple layman terms, $4.2 billion of more buying pressure. Japanese bought 250, French bought 400 mil, which is interesting. Basically, everybody's opening their own Bitcoin strategy companies, MicroStrategy copycats, nothing new there. What I've been doing, I've been away, but there's an interesting trade that we'll get into probably later during the stream, and also title of the stream, but that is, I plan to basically not trade until Labor Day, but I do believe there is going to be a lot of volatility on pump.fun token, both long and short. So I think I'm very, very, very intrigued to come, I don't want to say come back. That's like a boxer coming back after 3 years. I just went away for a fucking week, but I think that, Pump Fund will be my token to trade. And there's also another scam launching called World Liberty Finance coin, the Trump shit. So these two are basically my go-to for this summer.
Yeah, I think the Pump Fund thing is going to be quite a quote-unquote fun to actually trade. I'm not sure that I will be doing that much, but it's like these new tokens, they always have like great volatility.
And especially since this is supposed to launch at high FDV, it's not like 50 mil market cap where I get bodied by Grachev.
Yeah. Should definitely be like a main event of if you are in like a shorter term traders type of situation. Yeah, like I said, I'm not sure. I actually took an altcoin trade after like ages. I bought I bought a little bit of ton after those Visa announcement. Obviously, I immediately lost the money because it was all fake. So this my altcoin trading career once again, taking a break. Kind of funny thing to what's mentioned. Obviously, crypto being crypto again.
It's a actually second time Durov basically or Tom team tweeted bullshit in last 30
Yeah,
days, which is
yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah, no, like I bought when it was like going down. Not like bought at the spike, but I was kind of just watching that and be like, okay, like there is a non-zero chance this is true because like it took a long time. Like I think the announcement was like Sunday overnight, and then basically nothing happened. Like for 24 hours, basically, or like the whole day, nothing has happened. And then they announced in the evening at like 10 p.m. my time that it's actually not real. So like I was watching this around like midday, around the time when I was like also, like BTC was basically around my entry as well. So I was like, I'm gonna just long a little bit of this, and yeah, it went basically straight down. And the announcement came, but it like didn't, like I think I sold like 2% lower. Like the volatility on the downside was very low, even when they like I saw the tweet that it's fake, and I was like, oh fuck, this is going to be now, this dumped like 15%. I'm down, so much money, but I just opened the chart. It was slightly lower, basically the same price that I got in, so it's like, it's not a big deal. But the funny altcoin trading experience over the weekend, after like ages, like I don't know when was the last time I traded anything else rather than Bitcoin, ETH, or Solana, and yeah, I get back to the game and immediately punished. So
Immediately reminded why you stopped.
yeah,
Durov.
yeah. Um,
But remember when
so
sorry to interrupt, but remember when Ton had like this almost a year of basically, sorry, it's more like half a year, but basically non-stop up only. It was incredible in
yeah,
2024.
yeah,
It was supposed to be
yeah.
the
It
future of
was
altcoins,
very
and
strong, and I was like thinking at the time as well, like it's a pretty kind of a like at least this has some like a reason, but yeah, it went into like this insane rally. I remember when I was trading this a little bit when he got arrested in
yeah,
France.
yeah.
Yeah, it was like end of the last year. I think I ended up losing money there as well. So yeah, my score with Ton is not the best, but yeah, that's funny. But to be fair, like some of the altcoins, I think and this is obviously not because we are sponsored by BONKbot, but Bonk has
Yep.
been doing quite well. Like there has been this like hole, and we are not. I'm not 200% caught up on all of the trenches stuff and everything, but I know that there has been some of this discussion between Pump Fun and basically Bonk, which has this like a number 2 place for the trenches launchpad or whatever. So
Actually,
the,
have
the,
like
the
a thread from Bert on the screen if
yeah,
you
yeah,
want to
yeah.
look at it.
Yeah. So yeah. So the chart of Bonk is looking pretty strong. Like this if you bought this last week instead of
Fuck.
Bitcoin, you would be probably much happier by now. I saw some of the other coins kind of not doing that bad. I was looking at like I immediately when I saw the Bonk chart, I looked at like other coins. I think Floki is looking like decent, but yeah, the problem that's kind of like a main narrative with Bonk now is that this kind of a king of the trenches type of coin. So yeah, that's looking pretty solid.
Yeah, it will be interesting. I think like if somebody's willing to, you know, if they have time, don't have anything exciting for summer. I think
Yeah,
like these coins will be super interesting. Bonk, Pump Fund token, and or other on-chain betas. But I think it's just you don't have to overthink it. Pump.fund token, Bonk, and Solana. Maybe Fartcoin, like Fartcoin yesterday on the announcement. By the way, funnily enough, I think Gate deleted it. Did you see it? The pump, basically the whole premise was on 12th of July, the Gate exchange, which is,
which is
look, I'm not
why.
gonna hear FUD, but like, it, like, Might as well like use, I don't know.
There's like a, I've been in the space since like 2017. So I think at this point, like I tried, like I did Cardano DeFi. So like I did like a lot of weird stuff. I don't think I ever went to Gate.io in these 8 years. Uh,
And yeah, it seems like they deleted the post to me at least. I mean, I'm not that I
yeah,
care that much. So, but I'm personally waiting for obvious information from the pump.fun token itself, not some crypto traders and engagement farmers. But yeah, whenever that launches, be that fairly soon, that is the thing you want to be trading, because you want to trade something with the volatility. It just and I personally just cannot be bothered trading. There's been this coin called VIC. I looked at it, like look at the chart. It's up like trillion%, but I believe it's like tiny market cap, and I'm just again refusing to. It's one of those situations where you have like minus 15% daily funding.
yeah. No,
So just
I was actually looking at this, and like this is something that I'm probably not going to really do that much, but like I was looking at these Binance coins, and it's getting to the point that like I have like no idea what these coins do, right? Like it's just like whatever. It's like so many of them, like no one like on my timeline at least, like no one really mentions these things. But like if you go to like there's a bunch of these websites. You have obviously on Velo, you have like screener. You can go on the CoinGlass when you have this funding rate screener as well. And when you just like look at the coins with the highest negative funding, like the WIC coin is probably not the best example because like this thing went up, uh, 150%.
and OI
But
did 15
yeah, yeah,
percent.
yeah. That's like kind of gone. But like if you open this on Velo,
Yeah,
if you
I
open
have
this
a
on Velo, yeah.
market funding
And
APR.
no, if you just open like the big USDT chart on Velo, basically,
Okay.
uh, which I think like the wait, yeah. Well, my point is like when this thing kind of started to go up, the funding already got like the lowest annual average funding was minus 11,000%.
What?
But even when this thing basically started to go up, which like it went up basically pretty steadily at the beginning, and it did like 10% and then another 10% move. After the first 10%, the funding already was negative 450 annualized average. Basically, when I kind of changed this, um, when you change this on the Velo, the indicator to Enium instead of like 8 hour, you will get the annualized average. So
Yeah.
my point is here that like this thing moves 10%. It did like 2 days ago. It goes up 10%, and funding already drops to like like if you would look at this at 8 hour time frame, like it would be like negative 1% basically per day.
And I'm pretty
So
sure it's at 4 hours on Binance at the same time.
yeah,
These
yeah,
shitcoins have 4 hour.
yeah. So you are going to see this on any kind of screen you end up
Yeah.
using, and like that, it's like a very good long opportunity basically,
Yeah.
because like if you're gonna get early into these things, uh, there is a high chance that you are basically going to catch this like a squeeze type of situation of these things going like insanely parabolic, and these are like easy trades, like uh yeah, basically you want to get in before all of that OI piles in. Usually, like I like when I don't really do these things anymore, but there was a time when I looked at this quite a lot, and like my first idea was, I'm going to short these things, right? Because
Yeah.
like I'm pretty sure like 2 months from now, no one is going to remember that something like big USDT existed. But even when OI basically, OI increased by Jesus fuck. OI increased by
1400%.
yeah like 3,000% from the lows basically. Um, you got that open interest basically was like negative 10% on the 8 hour, and I think you paid on hourly on on the on Binance as well, especially. So I think Binance actually kept these coins to like 2%, so it's not that extreme as you are going to see it here. But still, like you can, like there are things that you can do, and obviously this is like a lot for your own interpretation. For example, you can just wait. Like you can like long these before the funding payment, get paid funding. But for me, like when I try to really hold these for a little bit longer, it doesn't really make sense to try to
Dude,
short this
most
and
of the volume is on Bink X. Oh,
yeah, and like if you want to,
uh,
because I'm pretty sure this is going to like retrace fully at some point, but you are paying like
yeah.
usually the way these coins are moved is that these pumps are like super fast, but then the retracement is going to be more just like a, this is like the opposite. This is like the elevator upstairs, staircase down, basically type of situation. So yeah, it doesn't really make sense to try to short these because you're still going to end up paying quite a bit for it. Um, so instead, I think what is really smart to do if you, and like these are the trades when you can just grow your account quite fast. Just to look at these shitters and look at these kind of inflection points where you have like a because like this was basically a dead coin. This has done like nothing at all for this is a new coin actually. So
Relatively
this got
new.
listed, yeah, like 24th of June. Goes sideways. There were these like two occasions when funding spiked down. One was right after listing. This I wouldn't probably trade it right after the listing anyway. But then you had one more situation when kind of funding spiked down. Well, but this was not, this was like 0.01 only. But yeah, like if you are going to able to catch these are really good trades for kind of the smaller accounts. And
But there's
I
like a
don't know
lot
what.
of common denominators here, right? Like tiny market cap is one. Like
Yeah.
this will not happen with, and it's I'm not gonna here do the full homework for people, but like there's a lot of coins with like 10, 20, 30 million dollar market caps on Binance, and you might as well pray that Grachev is gonna
Yeah. Yeah.
do what DWF Labs does. This happened. I actually might bench of money on something called UX Link, which is just I don't know what the fuck that is. If my computer is gonna load, seriously. Can you hear me, Adam? Yeah, you can, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, this thing later at late 2025. Jesus Christ, this thing went from 40 cents to 3.5. But like this is like daily chart, but on like hourly it was super volatile. But as you said, I was getting paid like 2% per funding window, so I was just
Yeah.
basically martingaling into long, and still like making a lot of money because I was just getting paid on the way
Yeah.
down. It's
Yeah. So,
do you have anything to Eve because it's just done nothing? People.
yeah, I looked at very quickly. I did. I was long ETH in at the lows at like end of June. It kind of outperformed, obviously. I just felt like it doesn't really make sense right now because I don't know, like I feel like the ETH narrative kind of fizzled out a little bit. Sol, I guess, is not really benefiting from, like, if you look at chart of Bonk and Sol, like it's kind of a obvious where people are betting on this like trenches play, which is probably the only narrative that there is for Sol right now. Obviously, we have all these ETFs and stuff like that. But judging based on the CME futures volume and the open interest in Solana, I don't think that many people care and will not care. I think the Sol ETF is going to be very similar to ETH ETF, where people are just not going to care, and maybe they will care like later on. I think I have like a hard time thinking about how this Sol ETF could get like almost immediate high demand similar to BTC. I might be wrong, but it is what it is. So yeah, I felt like Sol and ETH, both are just like weaker compared to Bitcoin. If I had to choose one, I would be probably long ETH, but yeah, I'm still more back into just Bitcoin strength.
Let's actually look since year to date. But yeah, I mean, Bitcoin outperformed both.
Yeah.
Year to date, Solana down 21%, ETH down 23. It's actually really bizarre to me, and obviously that's been a big part of my whole online personality. Even though I'm gonna definitely slow down, but the whole just people, celebrating ETH pump when it's down like 50% year to date still, even now. It's just like and Solana, when Bitcoin was trading at these prices, Solana was at 280. It's now what, 150,
Yeah.
if that?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, for sure.
somehow I'm apparently retarded. I don't know. My brain cannot comprehend.
Well, you are, but you are kind of correct with this one at least. No, I just I feel like Sol has been just overall weaker, and there is just not that much of a narrative for it because people just seem to not care. And for ETH, I don't know. Like we spoke about this, like ETH, arguably, these last since April, there was like a decent long opportunity in April, basically, coming into May. That was probably like one of the few times in the last like 2 years when like if you bought ETH in April instead of Bitcoin, you would actually outperform, which is like very rare. Haven't happened since like ETH BTC chart haven't happened since like 2022 maybe. So yeah, I don't know. I just felt like this whole kind of a narrative we spoke about might have just like a more legs to it. I am going to also be completely honest. I'm not really keeping much of a track with all of this SBET and stuff like that going on with ETH. So yeah, I just when I was longing BTC last week in June, I kind of split it with the ETH. This time around, I just long Bitcoin. So
Yeah, the ETF inflows for Ethereum has been decent, and even Solana ones are not horrible. Velo doesn't have it yet, but it's done like $20 million worth of inflows.
yeah,
Which if that's a success, hard to measure.
I think like if I think if Bitcoin is going to make new highs, I'm sure ETH is going to go up as well. Yeah, someone mentioned that ETH is above all the moving average. Yeah, that's true. It's above all the moving averages, but it's
But so is Bitcoin.
like yeah, and like ETH is
But so
38.
isn't. Maybe that's the argument.
Yeah, but like my thinking here is that ETH is 61% from all-time highs. Bitcoin is 2.95% from all-time highs. So yeah, that's kind of my thinking here. That like, and like the thing with Bitcoin all-time high as well, and obviously this is like, I don't want these things to get into the kind of a astrology for men analysis, but like 110k or this like the whole area basically, like we made the highs in December, these sold off, then there was the inauguration day, then was a new all-time high in May as well, and then we actually kind of hang around this 110k area for a quite a while. And like if you draw this as resistance, this is not going to be like one line, but if you take like the December highs and kind of just draw an area or whatever, like market is just like hanging around under 110k for basically 7 months now. So I would expect, and obviously I'm very much ready to be disappointed, but like if we make a new highs eventually, like this should really have this like a blow off type of situation where like I'm obviously, well, I'm long, so I'm a biggest fan of Bitcoin right now, but I'm truly like I don't have a take profit set at like $111,000 now. because I really feel like that, like if we are going to make new all-time highs, this should have at least some sort of like a proper attempt, proper kind of blow off continuation, because we have been basically hanging around the same resistance for 7 months now. So yeah, but yeah, for ETH and for Sol, they are just like much lower. Obviously when you go to price discovery, there is no resistance, right? Like when market is
Correct.
trading above all of the kind of charts and lines and indicators you can draw, then it's just a price discovery. Everyone is kind of panicking. You have a lot of volatility. While obviously ETH can go to all-time highs again, Sol can go to all-time highs again, but there are a lot of levels on the way when it might get kind of the slowdown. So
And the
with
final boss is Ethereum Foundation non-stop selling. So.
yeah, so yeah, I just really feel like the Bitcoin is still going to be the best kind of bet here, which I know it's extremely boring because we have been very much repeating the same thing for the last 2 years basically, but
It hurts to be
it
right.
yeah, basically Runner became like the most hated person on Twitter, and I barely post anything these days, but yeah, I guess it is what it is. It's really the best bet, I think, in my opinion, at least when it comes to crypto. So there's that. We covered a bunch of stuff. Are there any questions before we wrap things up?
Maybe in the meantime, if there's a question, would you ever try to trade pumped fund token, or you cannot be fucked?
Like the thing is that I don't really, not only that I don't really trade altcoins in general that much,
But this time is different.
but I don't really day trade. I think that these new coins, you cannot really just like, I'm going to long at listing and just walk away, right? Or I'm going to short and walk away. Like for some of these coins, we could probably, like we had some of these very funny listings where it just died completely. But I think, yeah, but I think a lot of the new listings in general are the best for active day trading, which is like all of your, like you trade like liquidations on like 1 minute chart or whatever, like trading these like reversals and stuff like that. I don't really do this anymore. I don't really day trade and don't really have much time to do it, so I am not probably going to trade it. Also, I really feel like, and this makes everything even more kind of because like I don't do a day trade, so I hold trades for longer, and I really noticed every time I basically trade altcoins, I just know that my edge, which I have in trading BTC, is uh, not really that great. So I because once again, a lot of these things, like when you have large open interest change, for example, in Bitcoin, which is something that I use as a signal, or if you have these like order book imbalances in Bitcoin, like it's really hard to create these. Like you need to have like a large traders to create these. But like if you do like for ton, I could probably fuck up some things up basically if I would really want to. So yeah, the way that I trade, I think I really trade Bitcoin the best, and every time I trade anything else, I tend to just lose money, especially these like mid cap altcoins basically, where they have been around for a while and they just basically do nothing. It's just like, yeah, and I think a lot of these things, like the things that you can do on at least on centralized exchanges now, is like the thing that we actually spoke about, these funding plays. I think these are very good, especially if you have like smaller accounts. Once again, you need to be a little bit more active. Like you need to trade these on lower time frames, kind of pay attention to the funding costs, the payments and everything like that. But I think these like new scam coins, basically like trading all of these scam moves, is like very good use of your time. But yeah, for me, I'm not going to trade something like Ton or Aave or whatever which are these like like well-established coins, I just don't feel like my edge is really there, and it's all kind of like this narrative plays, and not something that I am really paying attention to anyway.
Fair. So answer is probably no.
Yeah, probably no. Cool. Okay, guys. Thank you
And
for tuning in. Sorry, what do you wanted to say?
I guess no questions.
No questions. No one wants to ask anything. Everyone hates us. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, shout out to BONKbot. They are kind enough to keep up with us and sponsoring the streams. Although we are not the biggest trench chess traders, at the end of the day, I think there is a lot of things that you can do, and having more kind of advanced terminal, it's definitely going to be very useful if this is something that you are into. So make sure to check them out. There is no wait list now. I think everyone can just use it. Obviously, if you are going to use this with our ref link, you are going to get extra luck points
Extra
for your next
European.
for your next 1000x plays. So make sure to do that. And with that being said, we are going